didn't respond to it.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our normal monthly board workshop where we have the representatives of each of our committees, or either the committee chairman or someone that they've designated to speak for them, and they give us an update of what is going on in the committees during the past month. So we'll just go ahead and get started. We normally go around the table to the ones that the board, the committees that the board, that they report to the board. That was hard to say.
You got it out.
Yeah, I finally got it out. Okay. Let's see, it doesn't look like we have an attendant from the ACC. We'll go over to the bylaws. Mr. Maurer.
Thank you. Pardon my voice, but I'm suffering from OPD, OCD, OPD, COPD. In fact, it's affecting my brain, not only my voice. Anyhow, the Bylaws Committee did not meet in October. There was no business to be conducted.
Are you still working, Mr. Maurer, on modifications for our resolutions having to do with the membership and the duties of each of the committees?
To give you a complicated answer, no.
Okay.
I hope to try to do something about that when I feel like it. But I haven't tried to recruit some other committee member to get started on it either. Actually, between me and the inhalers, I'm not doing much of anything. But it is on my list to look at those committee resolutions.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And
yeah, in fact, I was thinking about that this morning, Doug. Maybe the Bylaws Committee could come up with a template that would have in it what the resolution should contain. A list. 5 items, 6 items, 10 items, whatever. And then give it to the chairman of the committee and let them do their own DCR. But give them a template, say, try to include these 6 items. How is your vice chairman selected? How many members are in your committee? How many can vote? It's an endless list of things that keep coming up.
one of the items I assume that would be on there would be if we have any designated members each year from the board or from another committee that would serve on a specific committee. I would think that would be one of the items we'd want to include.
Can you think of a heading that would cover that particular item? Committee membership?
Could be, yeah.
You could include in there how many, and if you wanted to say where they come from, I guess you could do that also.
Right, okay. I think we have some of those now.
I'd really like to kind of leave it up to the committee chairman. I would like to vote in to ultimately be consistent, but I really think the committee chairman ought to do their own
I think that's a good
resolution.
Point. Good point. Any other comments for Mr. Maurer?
membership and leadership of committees, I think is what how the chairs are selected and the vice chairs are named.
Good, that's good, Bob. In fact, any of you guys that have an idea, send me an email. I'll be glad to keep it in my list. Okay?
All right, sir. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. We'll move on to the Finance Committee. Mr. Pizzone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since there were no AFEs this month and no pressing financial matters to attend to, the Finance Committee did not meet.
All right, sir. A couple of other committees that report to the board. One is LIMO. Mr. Jakely, do you have any report?
Nothing from LIMO this month.
All right, sir. Thank you. And long-range planning, Mr. Kreis.
Our committee did meet this month.
All right.
We're in the process of continuing the development of or modifying the process for identifying and tracking projects, and we're somewhat expanding the what is commonly known as the new amenity process to also include projects involving the improvement or expansion or replacement of existing amenities. So I think this is going to be really useful information for us as we go on.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kreis. Any questions for Dan? All right. Those are the board meetings or the committees that report to the board. I'll turn it over now to Mr. Bartholomew for those that report to the general manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's start out with infrastructure. Sam Watts.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Our committee did meet this month and meets most every month. At our last meeting, we had a special presentation from Sight Glass, aerial photography business that presented had a very nice presentation, but it was the committee's opinion that the product that they could deliver was not exactly what we were looking for. There might be some time that we could use them for some things, but it just wasn't, they couldn't provide the topography, the topo maps that we needed for our business. Presently, there's a project in planning still, Westover bypass drainage, and Daniel is meeting or has met with some landowners in the area to discuss our plans with them and their wants and desires so that we don't infringe upon their property very much. And hopefully Daniel can bring us up to date at our next meeting on where we stand with that. On the front entrance road work, the front entrance road from Fall Creek Highway to the bridge, estimates came in pretty high. Most of the cost was in the asphalt and the road base, and it exceeded the original estimate of about $450,000 by close to over $200,000, and which would be in the area of $600,000 to $700,000 for that, and that would exceed our budget for the whole year. So we're taking another look at it and see if we can't see if the engineer's estimate is way out of realm, or I think Daniel was going to go to some contractors and get a more realistic estimate on it. So we'll keep following that. we're in the process of updating the 20-year plan, and I've gone back in my archives and gone through three computer changes for myself, trying to find some of the original 20-year plan. Was very difficult, to say the least. Like most of you, I forget where I file stuff in my computer. I forget where I file stuff in my filing cabinet too, so that's not unusual. But we'll revisit the 20-year plan. Part of the problem with the 20-year plan was the way it was originally laid out, and no offense to Dick Drake, his format on some of the stuff wasn't really consistent, so he knew what he was doing, but for somebody else to come along and try to figure out what he did is very difficult, and Janice and I and committee will be working on trying to straighten that out so that in future years it will be easier for someone to follow. And two, there's only about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 of us that were on the committee when that 20-year plan was formulated. So the other 8 or 9 that's on the committee, I have no idea what we're talking about most of the time when we talk about the 20-year plan. It's just the way it's happened. There's other things with the heavy rains we've had the last 3 years, we've got off the plan. And we got off the plan for reasons, but we're off the plan, and we need to get back on the plan on microsurfacing and paving. Daniel is looking at microsurfacing versus ultra-thin overlay. And I don't know, Daniel's supposed to get with the guys and see where we can look at some ultra-thin overlays and see if that's what we need. I don't know. The microsurfacing, when it wears in an even pattern. I'm wondering if the ultra-thin will wear in even patterns, or whether it starts when it gets down to the thin, the very, very thin stage, the last stage of its life, whether it will peel. And that's something we need to look at. And that's all I have for infrastructure.
Thank you, Sam. Comments, questions for infrastructure? Ray Lewis, Airport Committee.
The Airport Committee met this month, a week late on October 19th, reviewing several of the ongoing issues we have, working on our GPS approach, maintenance, etc., getting ready for the annual EAA fly-in was a big part of our effort. I want to thank Michael and Daniel and others that really helped us get the airport ready for this annual event. It's a tremendous outreach to not just within Pecan, but to the entire community. We had 60-plus kids that flew in the Young Eagles program, where kids 8 years and up get their first flight in an airplane. We also had something over 70 airplanes fly in from surrounding areas outside of Pecan, which really, it was off a little bit this year because we were in direct competition with a very popular East Texas fly-in called Reclaw, where a lot of some of the people in this room actually went there, and that's an event that we didn't realize they hadn't announced it until after ours was set, so we ended up with a conflict. But it was a very successful outreach for the community. The airport is continuing to work on evaluating a home for this EAA, which is an important group that meets here in Pecan. I think that's all of the important points. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Comments, questions for Mr. Lewis? Let's move on to security. Ty Harper.
Safety and Security Committee met on October 12th at our regular scheduled time. We had two disputes that were both for speeding, and they were both upheld. We talked about the speed limits in Pecan, and there was a motion made to reduce the speed limit to 30 miles an hour, but that was tabled with the committee recommending to the board that we do a traffic study, depending on the cost, to find out exactly if a change is needed, what that impact would be on the community, not only monetarily, but how the community would be affected by a speed limit change, and if one's necessary. We talked about some of the major events that happened in September. We had, on the 4th of September, we had a report of some cars that were broken into and some items taken out of the cars. On the 9th, we had an incident where a woman and two small children went to a stranger's house fleeing the husband. She was afraid for her safety and her children, and the Sheriff's Department responded to that. On the 14th, we had a complaint about contractors' loud music. On the 19th, we had a member that was driving down Monticello and called security and reported that they saw a fire in somebody's front yard. Just kept driving and called us, and by the time we got there, there was no fire. But I'd recommend, if somebody sees a fire, go ahead and stop and make that phone call and keep an eye on it for us. That kind of thing can get out of hand, especially this time of year. On the 26th, we had a member that reported somebody took a chair off of their back porch out on Ravenswood, and 2 days later, a neighbor found it in their backyard. So apparently somebody needed to sit down farther down the road. We had 4,571 calls to the security office alone in the month of September. We wrote 55 citations, 38 to members, and the rest were to contractors, guests, one to an employee, and one to a vendor. Most of the citations were on Plantation. The rest were around other streets. And 37 of them were first-time speeders. So seems like that's by far the majority of the citations that we write. 53 calls were made to the Hood County Sheriff's Department from our area, most of which were phone calls, 911 and other related calls. And that's the end of my report.
Ty, would you like to mention the gate system that we're talking about, that we're researching?
We're up for this new fiscal year. We're ready for a new gate call-in system, which will allow members to use their smartphones. It will allow them to use their PCs to manage their own account, call in guests. It's just going to be some other options for members to use to manage their guests coming into Pecan. Also, it'll allow security to be able to search records more efficiently. Right now, we write down all of our guests on a piece of paper day after day. There's stacks and stacks of paper. If we wanted to search something, we'd have to look through the paper, and hopefully it was written down, and hopefully we can read it if there's something that we needed. This will just make everything a lot more efficient, and it's time for that to happen.
What's the date you guys going to be ready to roll out?
We're shopping right now. We're getting bids and going to see what's the best fit for our community.
Do you have a question, Doug? Go ahead.
I do. Ty, I've had a comment from a member about the parking availability at the front circle and the lot that's been created there. Could you just go over with us the purpose of that lot and what our experience has been recently?
Yeah, there's a large overflow parking across the street from the security office, and It's there for members to use, like if they have guests coming in from out of town, if they have, a lot of times there'll be RVs or people coming in from out of town, or a lot of times people having a party. They'll have a bunch of vehicles parked there just to keep vehicles off the streets. One of the problems that we've had is people have been using it for storage. We've had to address those with some individual members. Right now, we're working on some signs to post up to make sure that we have the posted rules for that, so people cannot use it for storage. And if it is, we'll have something to fall back on to be able to issue fines if we have to.
That's good. I appreciate that. There are signs right now that indicate that a certain area of that is for carpools, where people meet at the gate or at the front circle and consolidate into one vehicle, maybe. Is that true?
There are a few signs. They're kind of small and might not be noticed. We're going to try to incorporate into our bigger signs so it'll be clear what that parking lot's for.
Ty, I noticed two particular vehicles are there frequently. One is a concrete mixed vehicle, and the other is some kind of commercial trailer with a glass side, and it seems to be there a lot. Could you tell us what they are?
We've identified those members and talked to them about it, and the use of it over and over and over becomes a storage issue. So those are the reasons that we've addressed it, and with the signs in place, we'll be able to enforce it. Right now, it's just a parking lot, and without the rules in place, it would be really hard for us to issue any kind of fine. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Ty, for the update. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Any other questions for safety and security? Thank you very much, Ty. Let's go to entertainment and sports and rec. Brenda Palmer.
Okay, thank you. I'll start with sports and rec. Archery Air Gun Range. They hosted 24 wet vets on Friday, October the 14th, and we'll be hosting them again on the second Friday in November and December. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the wet vets, but it is a program Mike Stewart and his wife Pat started where they work with veterans and they try to give them an activity due on Fridays. So the Archery Air Gun Association has jumped on that bandwagon and they really had a good time. The PPAA has purchased and installed all new targets and floodlights at the 2D range. They're very proud of those. Everything looks great down there right now. There will be an annual Kids Pumpkin Shoot this Saturday, October 29th at 9 a.m. for children ages 7 through 13. This is a really fun event for the kids, and right now we have slots left open. So if you know of anyone, you have grandchildren, or there's children, please call the PAC and sign up. And again, there will be a statewide air gun tournament held in Pecan. It's scheduled for Saturday, November the 12th at 9 a.m. This is a very big event, and Pecan is very fortunate to be picked to have this tournament. Dog Park. Dog Park FOPP had a very successful day at the craft fair selling Pets of Pecan calendars, and I understand there are a few left. So if anybody needs one, get in touch with the Yakiminis. And they also sold homemade dog treats and the quilt raffle. That too is hard to say. And then funds were also raised during the recent garage sale via their mobile coffee donut mobile is what I call it, but they drove around selling coffee and donuts in the morning early when people really appreciated it. Pickleball. Good news for pickleball players. The PAC will be retaping the gym floor to allow for 3 courts instead of the 2 that were in there now. Has that been done yet? Next Wednesday, so everybody look for that. Play continues to increase, and the PAC is making it work. That was an issue, but it's working now. So, tennis. Junior tennis program has 6 girls playing on Tuesdays and 8 boys playing on Thursdays. That's really good numbers for our offsite. And I think they said some of them might be from Granbury. November 4th, Play Day, begins their annual canned food drive. So if anybody wants to just go up there and donate a can of food, they will get it to the necessary people in Granbury.
Brenda, could I make a comment on
yes.
that? There is a receptacle or a box at the Tennis Center building that will be there until the 11th of November. All this food collected is going to be used and distributed to the people helping people for families less fortunate than us. So for Thanksgiving.
So if anybody would like to make a donation, please just go up to the Tennis Center. December 6th is their Christmas party, and PPTA wanted everyone to know that they have been donating to the Granbury High School Tournament Fund. I think that's a very worthwhile event as well. Senior softball. Play continues on Mondays at 9 a.m. through mid-November, weather permitting. Thanks go out to Daniel Van Patten and his crew for the wonderful field conditions. They wanted me to tell you that. Campground. The roads in the park are still an issue, but discussion continues between Sports and Rec and Grounds in hopes of finding the best solution that we can. Nature Trail. Both nature trails are open and ready for hiking. The weather is perfect for a leisurely hike, so please get out there and enjoy our trails. Community Gardens. Plans for a fundraiser are underway. Publicity continues, and you can check the columns for more information. Activity and Wellness Center. The first town hall meeting was held Tuesday, October 18th at the PAC. There were 160 plus attendees, and the presentation was very well received and very informative. All the feedback has been very positive. The website is up and running, and it is www.pecanawc.org. Check it out for frequently asked questions. Our next town hall meetings will be in January and February. PAC. The kids' Halloween party will be Saturday, October 29th from 2 to 4 p.m., followed by trunk or treat in the PAC parking lot. Please check page 35 in this month's columns for more information. Healthy cooking classes are scheduled through February 2017. These classes are limited to 10 people, so check the schedule and sign up. That's it for Sports and Rec. Entertainment. The new changes to our Oktoberfest celebration this year were very well received. We moved all the events to the front of the clubhouse with a street dance format. The food truck was brilliant, and the table setup made for a perfect gathering for families and friends. November 9th brings our Veterans Day celebration breakfast our Veterans Day celebration breakfast, and it begins at 7:45 at the clubhouse. Complete details will be on page 19 of November's column. Pecan Members Christmas Social is scheduled for Tuesday, December the 13th at 5 p.m. And last but not least, Mardi Gras on the Brazos 2017 is scheduled for Saturday, January 28th. The theme for crew tables is movies. So get your friends and family together, pick a theme, and call the front desk to reserve your crew table. And again, check your columns for all details of upcoming events. That's it.
Thank you very much, Brenda, for that great report. Any comments or questions for Ms. Palmer? Let's move on to Joe Hartman in the Marina.
Good morning. The new dock for the gas distribution and people being able to go to the shop at the grill is, we hope, going to be completed this spring, so that we'll have it in time for the spring season and people can use it. We're working currently on painting the stairs going down to the different docks. They're kind of dark and needing some enlightenment as far as being able to see the edges. I've watched people have trouble walking down the ones going to the B and C dock. So we're looking at that as a future project. We planted more oleanders along the fence line, so that we have now over 25 of them growing. If anybody needs some oleander plants, I have them. We have quite a few we've grown this year. John from the Marina staff is working on developing a windbreak for the grill this winter, so that we'll be able to heat part of the patio and have it where it's warm even in the cold weather. I want to talk a little bit. Marina Day is upcoming on 29 April, and we're planning on contacting the different boats. We're going to have kind of a swap meet where all of us that have many lures and other things of fishing utensils will bring them there and we can trade or sell or whatever, kind of a swap meet. The next meeting for the Marina Committee is on 8 November. So come out and vote and then go to the Marina meeting if you would like to see what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Comments, questions? Go ahead, Mr. Ward.
Joe, I have a question. My wife and I certainly enjoy the food out there and sitting by the lake and eating and so forth. But there's been some changes in the menu over the last few months, and I think one of those, and this is minor, but I just wanted to ask. It seems that they made a switch on burgers and sandwiches where they always use Texas toast rather than a bun unless you request it. So I was wondering why, when that went into effect, because we prefer the bun, obviously. So I don't know whether that's maybe a better question to food and beverage, but just wonder if there was any further information on that.
I don't happen to have any, but I'll pass it on and ask the question.
Okay, I'll pursue that further. A compliment to the menu. A compliment to the menu out there, though, is the return of French fries. I think that was a good addition, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll check on the buns for the burgers. I'll take that one. Let's move on to golf and Mike Brown.
Good morning. Just a couple items this morning. First one being the pergola. Was told yesterday that construction on the pergola will begin on Monday. So we look forward to that, getting all of the tables and chairs out from around the front doors to the pro shop and the 19th hole. And the second item is that we've now used 60% plus of the green fees down at Glen Rose, so I think you probably can expect that in a month, two at the most, that we'll be looking to purchase another 1,000 of those. And that's all I have this morning.
Any comments, questions for golf?
Mike, is this the third session or the third contract for that?
Yeah, we're on the third one. We'll be looking to have the fourth one.
Good.
Let's move on to communications and Ms. Wynette Burns.
Thank you. Communications Committee did not meet last month, but a report was given by Aaron, who talked about our Facebook page being up and added, and David talked about our recommendation to the board for a new website. And we appreciate all the work they did in making those two things happen. They were in charge of those projects. I hope you have friended our Facebook page and look to it to see what events are coming up. Aaron's doing a good job. One place where we are lacking is in getting pictures posted after an event. So if we have pictures of the fly-in, for example, if you would get those to Aaron, he can post those. The sooner we get those posted, I think, the better response we're going to have to that event next year, if we can get people excited. And the better response we'll have to our Facebook page if people have something interesting to look at. And I hope also that we get pictures of, I think we had pictures of Oktoberfest, but the karaoke we need pictures of. And anyway, if you have anything in Marina, if you have pictures to show what you've done to the fence or of projects that you have completed at the Marina, those would be good also to put on Facebook. Maybe even the new menu. Anyway, anything we can do to stir interest in the projects that we're doing and to publicize accomplishments of our boards and committees, I think we need to address those. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Ward, go ahead.
One question, Winnette. I believe you're doing some work on the website as well?
We have compared the website companies and what they can offer and the timetable that they could produce. They get all of our new information and the website up. And we made a recommendation, I think, at the last work session about the company, which is
Club Essential.
Club Essential, who does our website now, but they're going to update and give us a better version of the website that'll be more user-friendly to the board and to our membership. Any other questions?
I have a continuing concern about misinformation, and by the way of communication, misinformation showing up on Pecan Neighbor. I just wonder if your committee has taken a look at our position regarding that way of communicating, because it's there and it's like the big elephant in the room. And have we gotten down the road in developing a policy about how we handle that?
No, we haven't. I think that the committee members are at a loss as to how to best address that issue. I know in the past, different board members have attempted to answer some of those issues that are raised on Next Door Pecan, and have done a valiant effort of addressing the questions and the concerns, but that doesn't seem to accomplish anything. So I'm at a loss to know how to best do that, and if the board has any ideas, we'd be glad to consider those. But as for our committee, I don't think we've come up with any policy or recommendation on how to do that.
Michael, is there anything in the the National Homeowners Association organization that addresses that?
Not that I've seen, but I will certainly research it and see what I can find out. I know Nextdoor is in quite a few communities, so it's very popular throughout the United States.
Winnette, I would suggest that the work that you are doing is going in the right direction for addressing that. The more information that we can get out on our website and our other opportunities, that will help answer some of those questions.
Well, that's correct, and I think that's the reason our main projects this year have been to address the Facebook page where we can get information out, and to improve our website so that we can connect people to places on our website where they can get the information that they don't seem to have. That is a motivator. We can have links that we can put on Facebook that take you to our website and specific places on our website, and that's one of the objectives of the new website. So we have those capabilities. As far as just, I know last year when the issues came up of how expenditures are approved and everything, I wrote like a 2-page article and posted it on Facebook outlining exactly the year and a half or 2 years and all the steps that new projects go through before they're approved and are voted on by the board, and the many opportunities that membership has to address those issues before they're ever voted on. But I don't think that the people we were aiming that at either read or understood it. So, and I also did that on the columns article. So I'm not sure that the message is getting received, even though we've made attempts to put it out there.
Do you know, are you being able to measure the hits on the Facebook?
I don't know, Aaron, can you do that? That was one of the things we were going to discuss today we're going to have a meeting following this meeting. Are you able to see how many people go to our website?
It actually gives me a daily update.
On the Facebook page. Is that number increasing?
So far it has been slowly.
Slowly? And the more interesting information we can get on there, I think, the faster that'll happen.
That also may be something we'd want to put, put on our website or the Facebook page, how many people are visiting that, and encourage them to do that.
That's a great idea, too.
Any other comments or questions for Ms.?
How many more visitors?
Right now, we're up to, I believe it was just under 400 likes, and we normally get anywhere from 75 to 150 hits a day, is what it's telling me.
How many? 75 to 100.
That's encouraging, thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Lou.
I was going to say that managing misinformation is one of the most difficult tasks that you have. And I'll give you a couple of examples. A couple of months ago, I guess, we were in great controversy over the tip issue that had the wires burning on next door. And I was asked to hold a meeting with several members of the community and went into great detail trying to explain what we did, how we did it as a community. And in the end, a couple of the people say, okay, I understand what you do, why you do it, and it's all legal and it's probably the smart thing. I just don't agree with it personally. So, sometimes, regardless of how much good information goes out, it turns into misinformation on the other end. And I'm not sure how you fix that either.
And there were postings last night when I looked at Nextdoor still objecting to the auto gratuity. So I don't know how many times you can explain it, and I don't know.
Yeah, I also explained it in one of my GM articles pretty extensively. So. Okay, any other questions for Ms. Burns? Lou Turner, House and Food and Beverage.
Our committee met on the 11th of October, and we're continuing to develop some support data for the 19th Hole project, which we will continue to work on and to be prepared to justify the project as we move forward into the process. We do need, however, some help from the board in terms of some definitive information, or I guess a definitive decision on what constitutes improvement or relocation of an existing program, and how we move forward on that. And I think we have agreed that maybe that's an issue that the board might take up at the next meeting, so that everyone understands whether the fact that we would relocate an activity, whether that constitutes new construction or whether that is within the board's purview of deciding without having to go outside the board to make that decision. And I know in our meeting that was discussed, and a couple of the board members there understand some of the need to do that, because it involves our committee and it involves the golf committee as well. The Pro Shop project, or I should say the 19th Hole project, in terms of going in the most desirable direction, obviously has a relocation of the Pro Shop tied to that. And if that happens, then we're in good shape. If it doesn't, we have to go to Plan B. And all of those things, I think we need to just have some definitive guidance if that's possible.
Lou, didn't I hear Dan say that long-range planning was working on that, coming up with an assessment of whether to do or continuing amendment?
Yeah, I think those we're trying to define those in the long-range planning thing as we develop this new process we're looking at. But I'm not sure we're going to try to help with that.
Okay. We have developed as a committee a questionnaire that we are prepared to send out to all of our members. And in fact, it will appear as a cutout in the November issue of Columns. We will also blast it, email blast, and we're also working with Janice to stuff the questionnaire into those members that receive their monthly bills in the mail, and we're encouraging everyone to respond to the survey to give the committee some idea of some of the likes, dislikes, needs that our members do perceive about our food and beverage program. And we will put drop boxes for the surveys both in the front desk area of the club, at the PAC, and in the pro shop. And we've also made some arrangements for those people who want to make additional comments that they can email them to an email that's been set up by our IT folks that we can then have another method of evaluating comments from the members. We're going to run this questionnaire process for the entire month of November, and then we will start our analysis of what all the information that we receive and what all it means and how it will affect how we move forward in the out years, I guess, and what are perceived as needs that we can do some things immediately, even though most of them appear to be in the cosmetic area, and we're still working with the food and beverage director and the general manager on what we can do to the 19th hole to make it more desirable. And there are some limits, and although we did do some patchwork, our maintenance folks did some patchwork last week and repainted, and there's still a couple of other things that we need to do. And it's a constant issue of trying to make that as a desirable location as you can, and there are some obvious limits that we have to contend with, and which is part of our rationale for developing the expansion and project in the first place. That's it.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Turner? Mr. Ward?
I do have a question, Lou. Earlier in the year, there was an attempt by the Food and Beverage Department to evaluate customer satisfaction with what the offerings were. Are you going back and utilizing any of that, or just...
I think we've answered your question partially, yes, but we also developed probably an expansion of that process in this questionnaire. And I think once you see the questionnaire, I think you will see it gives our members a pretty good opportunity to make those assessments over in several areas. Hopefully that will tell us where our weaknesses are and what we need to work on to improve.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Turner? Let's move on to Connie and Dennis and membership report.
Thank you, Michael. Month of October, resident and lot invoicing was 3,006. We had 2 meetings of the new members orientation this month, 21 attendees. By far, the majority of them are resales, 19 resales. We have 1 renter and 1 lot sale. And just as an aside to the sports and rec information, FOPP will be staffing the PAC kitchen on Election Day. So those of you who are voting in Precinct 16, come ready to eat breakfast or lunch and help support the dog park.
Thank you, Dennis. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, we're now 6 above that magic number, 3,000. Do we know what the past 12-month increase has been?
Plus 23. year-to-date.
So we're
Fiscal
still
year
above
today.
that minimum of 15 or so?
Yes.
And then in
yes.
the range of 15 to 30 a year?
Yes, yes. At the end of November, we were plus 23. On a goal of plus 30.
Okay, another question then.
Or September, I should say.
So have we started adding to the new amenity account as a result of that? Do you have two at this point?
Some of the ones that were new assessments were current members, so they didn't pay initiation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions for membership?
I just had, but how much
Go ahead.
goes into that account now that we've reached the match?
Initiation fees for new members, so I choose the bond.
But it varies, or is it always the same?
I thought it was 3192.
3196 per new member, with an occasional CPI increase.
So currently, 3196. And then once a year, we look at, if there's a CPI increase, it will go up. But it's currently $3,196.
So the new amenity account has about $6,000 in it.
Correct. Any other comments or questions regarding any of our committees from the board members? If not, that concludes our committee reports, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. I would like to make just a repeat comment regarding the committees and the people that serve on those committees. They do a tremendous amount of work, very valuable work for the association, and I wish that you would take that back to your committees and let them know how much they're appreciated. It's a very valuable contribution to our association, and we thank you very, very much. Anything else for the meeting today? All right, we're adjourned.